Greetings, shalom, shalom. This is a man called Gavar. Welcome to the channel. It is the feast of Yom Kippur, approaching sundown a few hours to go. I'm doing great. I've been afflicting my body, fasting since the sundown last evening, and I won't partake of any food again until sun is well down. And I've been ruminating on some of my favorite passages of scripture as I pray over this Yom Kippur. I've been doing a lot of fasting in the last few years, and I've been doing teshuvah since being rendered homeless in 2023, and I think I've mastered my flesh. It doesn't dictate to me anymore what I can and can't do. If I tell it I won't eat, I'm not going to eat. If I tell it I'm not going to have imbibe any liquors for a period of time, I have no problem keeping it. So moving outward, I'm really seeking and really desirous, praying this Yom Kippur about this burden I have to bring together the Qadoshim, the set apart ones, the believers of Yahuwah. We are so few in number in this captivity here in Babylon. I've often said many times that, expatriatism, people expatriating from the country over the last couple decades, especially since 9/11, people began to really understand how criminal their government really was, and they rejected it, no longer being the government that was established by Almighty Yahuwah when He had so many faithful believers emigrate here in the 16th and 17th century, actually before that, 15th century even. We had large amounts of Anglicans fleeing the Church of England as it became more merged with the state. And we've had so many Plymouth Brethren and Puritans, of course, Plymouth Rock, we all know about that, coming to America in the 17th century. And there's a book out by Brent Allen Winters where he talks about the populations of German reformists and people who, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a Gentius, I can't think of the word, but they fled Europe, parts of Europe, Netherlands, Dutch-speaking people, in search of freedom to worship the true Elohim. I believe many of these believers were probably students of Hebrew. There was one in particular that actually published a Hebrew scripture for his community. His name escapes me, in Pennsylvania, I believe. So there were a lot of believers that had the same heart desire that I'm expressing right now. And I believe in our day and age, we can come together, and I am seeking like-minded believers who are fed up with this world's systems, fed up with the government of this world. You desire to maybe get out of all these contracts that you don't feel are right for you to be involved in. I'm talking things like the DMV, things like child, what do you call it, CPS? Child Protective Services. Different states, they call it different things. Division of Youth and Family Services. You're sick and tired of them meddling in your life. You're sick and tired of them telling you what you can and can't do with your children, whether you can let them go to public school or homeschool them. There is remedy for all those things, and I'm reaching out to you as a brother in Messiah, and please reach out to me and let's talk. Let's solve your problems first. In the past, I've been very aggressive trying to get people to unite with me and acquire land with me. The approach that I'm going to take now moving forward is a little less aggressive. Let me help you first. Let me help you unravel those contracts, unravel those entanglements, and experience what I've been experiencing, true set apart living, as I've been living this interesting lifestyle for the last, off and on, at least a dozen years, involving myself with cultural exchange programs, initially using it as a way to train myself as a farmer, but now, as I work out the final details of equity interest recovery, which basically is taking back from the government that which they stole, but not in a way that's violent or in any way contentious. It's going along with their laws, actually, their statutes. There's a statutory remedy available to us as Americans if we know who we are. And I think I finally do understand who I am. That's why I call myself a man called Gavar. That legal name, that Sesta KV Trust, has nothing to do with me. However, it is a vehicle by which I can reclaim what Yahuwah intended me to have all along, and that is my piece of this planet. Natural law is still in effect as the way it's been for thousands of years prior to this beast system unleashing itself, mainly in the middle of the 19th century and more predominantly in the early part of the 20th century with the Emergency Banking Acts and the Social Security Act and all these other little pieces of legislation that kind of put the nail in the coffin, so to speak. And you can go and read it for yourself. Not the purpose of my video today. I want to focus on the Didache. Read the congressional record from 1933 through 35, and you'll see that those years were transformational, and you no longer can own anything, but you can use everything. And that's the key. So the verse I want to focus on today is Didache 4:2. Moreover, you will seek out the Qadoshim every single day, so that you may find shalom in their words. I can't think of a more joy-causing, enrapturing, delightful, happiness-causing eventuality that would bring more joy to my life than to be surrounded by set-apart ones every single day. And so as I move forward, I'm praying that Yahuwah would tap on the hearts of those who would eventually surround themselves with other Qadoshim and seek out a life of set-apart life, living off the land, sharing in the joys of sharing what Yahuwah is doing in our lives, the love that he gives for us, that we can share it with each other and love each other, because love covers a multitude of sins. And if you look back to the second century, the first century example, I meant to say second chapter of Acts, first century example, where the believers had all things in common. There's never been a better time for us to take advantage of that type of lifestyle, because right now we're not really able to own anything anyway, but we can acquire things for use: land, homes, tractors, vehicles, farm tools, farm equipment, maybe greenhouses, anything to do with cottage industry, maybe smithy. Maybe you're a smithy. Maybe you're a charcuterie operator. You know how to dry meats. Maybe you know how to do natural cures, tinctures and salves, and you know how to make soap from goat's milk. These are all skills that I want to have in my community. I've lived in communities where they had these people that could do these things, and that adds an enormous amount of value to your community. So pray about reaching out to me, because I'm a man in need. And here's the next verse, verse 8. You will not turn away from the one in need. In fact, you will make your brother a partner in everything. And it's not about money. It's about pooling resources, pooling skills and aptitude and I dare say even mental toughness, because I've been developing mental toughness over the last several years in particular. And those are the kind of people I want to surround myself with right now. I don't want those who are just now coming out of the system and dealing with having to try to learn how to live without lights. I'm living off grid right now, and I'm perfectly content with it. I do my work during the day. Messiah said, are there not 12 hours in a day? And during the day, he says, I work. My Father and I work. But at night, you find that he withdrew. He was in prayer. He wasn't working. So, and I've learned the benefit and value of that lifestyle where you do your works during the day. You share, have all things in common. You make your brother a partner in everything, and you don't claim anything to be your own. There's a footnote here, 18. What does it say? Saying. If you're saying, this is mine, if you're taking great pride in the fact you have a piece of paper from a criminal, corrupt government that has stolen everything from its own citizens with no due process of law, and then, on top of that, they didn't just steal all your property, it's what they did with it. They took it and they collateralized it, they pledged it to the international bankers, to the Rothschilds, the most evil, despicable, disgusting, satanic, child-sacrificing, blood-worshipping heathen on the planet, in exchange for the ability to print as much money as they wanted against that value, all the while keeping you ignorant of what their devices were, and running up a credit card bill, $35 trillion on your property, your assets. Well, there's a remedy now. We can't claim those things as ours, but we can certainly utilize them under the rules of trust law as the beneficiaries and as the principals and sureties of that debt. We are entitled now to equitable recovery interest, or equity interest recovery, which means if they can't give you the money, then the very least they need to do is allow you access to the assets so you can use them to feed yourself, to feed your family, and in this case, to feed a community of like-minded believers. So close out with, for if you are partners in the imperishable, how much more so in the perishable? I'm asking you to consider and ponder, brothers and sisters, aligning yourself with a believer like myself and others who reach out to me to create a place of shalom. I am calling the project gevaryahu. What's the word? It's Genesis 22:14. It slips my mind at the moment. In my weakness of my flesh right now, I can't recall. But it's the verse where Abraham replies to Sarah that when he gets there on the mountain, Yahuwah himself will provide the sacrifice. And that's exactly what he did, because as soon as he bound Isaac on the altar and was ready to drive the knife through his heart and sacrifice his son for Yahuwah, Yahuwah provided on the mountain the provision of a sacrifice that he needed to substitute. Instead of sacrificing his son Isaac, he sacrificed the ram. So the mission is going to be called that. On the mountain, Yahuwah will provide. And it's my desire to make a claim through adverse possession, through the lawful legal process that the Congress of America has provided, claim that land and create a community of Nazarene believers. It'll be an eliminatory charitable institution, growing food, feeding the poor, and living in community and studying the Hebrew Scriptures. So if you desire to partner with me in something imperishable, please reach out to me. A Man Called Gavar. Website is amancalledgavar.com, or my YouTube channel where this video is posted. Private message me there. Or if you want to email me, it's gevaryahu, gevaryahu, @yahoo.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Peace out.